Hello, everybody, and welcome back for season two, pretty much of Standing Out, a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I am Trey Griggs, founder and CEO of Beta Consulting Group, and we are so excited that you are with us. We've had a lot that's happened since our last show. We had the holidays. What's up, Kelly? Nice to see you. Thanks for being on the show today. We had the holidays. Happy New Year to everybody. We had Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday. Hope you had a chance to celebrate and remember his life and his mission in life for equality. And we are so excited to be back for episode 201 today. Well, listen, everybody, it is trade show season. And with that in mind, we had to bring on the trade show of all trade shows, the mastermind behind the event that's coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Super excited for this event out in Las Vegas. It is the Manifest Conference, which we're going to be going to, and we're really excited about that. In fact, take a moment and check out what this conference is all about. Take a look.
What can you expect from Manifest 2023? Networking, unprecedented access to one-on-one meetings with the most senior global audience of logistics, transportation, and supply chain leaders and investors. Thought leadership, hear from over 250 decision makers actually responsible for the way the world moves and the innovators fueling change. Technology, an innovation alley showcasing everything from autonomous trucks to robotics to drones. And it wouldn't be Vegas without a little fun. The future of logistics is here. January 31st through February 2nd, only at Caesars Forum.
Well, we are looking forward to that. If you have not signed up yet, you definitely need to do that, and see you out in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and bring on one of the leaders behind the event with Connectiv, who puts on this phenomenal show every year along with other shows. Everybody give it up for Dan Reiss. What's up, Dan? How are you?
What's going on? I feel like, you hear Wu-Tang and you expect to see a 41-year-old white guy. So,
we're adding walk-up music this year to the podcast. You're the first standing out guest to get walk-up music. And of course, Wu-Tang is not a bad start to the show. So I appreciate that, man. How are you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm great. I was, sitting in the catch-up before the show. I just got back from NRF like a half hour ago. So good to get back out there to the shows. I mean, 30,000 plus people walking around Javits this week, and we're looking at over 3,000 coming to Manifest in 2 weeks from now. So just the excitement is just building.
It really is, and I went to Manifest last year for the first time, and I remember this. Last year was probably like the second week of January, and everybody started talking about Manifest out of nowhere. I mean, I really feel like it came out of left field, for me at least, maybe for others as well. I ended up going, and I was so impressed by the show. It was incredible. The energy was good. The fact that you have professionals from all sectors of the supply chain, you had autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, you have a lot of shippers that show up, you have freight brokers that show up, you have carriers that show up. It was a really cool group of people. And of course, you got Ludacris to end the show last year. I mean, I don't know how you guys did that, but that was, phenomenal. I enjoyed that. Throwback to my 90s of getting to be at that concert. But the whole event was just absolutely tremendous. Talk a little bit about the psyche behind putting on an event, and how are you getting the buzz? How are you getting people to show up?
That's the exciting part too, because I come from the more traditional trade show world of the more corporate places where it's just pure paid marketing and just hitting the phones. And we really focus on organic, on word of mouth, on our partners sharing the word. Very little marketing, even on the sales side of things. I mean, it's just me. It's a team of one doing all the sales and marketing for Manifest. But it's kind of the Connectiv ethos as a whole for all the shows we own. InsurTech Connect, our most recent exit, but HR Transform, Blueprint in the real estate space, Cumulus in the ag tech space, and Medicareans in the Medicare space, that we identify sectors that are getting a significant amount of VC funding currently. And we follow those. We follow those sectors for growth, and we launch shows around them, but as an ecosystem that really ties them all together. And that's also a bit of what sets Manifest apart too from a number of the other shows out there.
Yeah.
And there's a number of fantastic logistics shows out there, but we're the only one that's really connecting the dots. Maritime, middle mile, rail, last mile, air cargo, warehousing. It's identifying the tech that's driving the sector forward and curating them both on stage as well as who we invite to exhibit with us to really make sure that we have a value add for our audience across the board. And then following that, delivering that white glove experience, whether it be good food, good entertainment, like Ludacris last year, Nelly this year, a puppy lounge again.
Are we getting the puppy lounge this year? I have to ask because
We have the Geodis is doing the puppy lounge again. It's the Geodis
love
Puppy
it.
Park in honor of their Nashville soccer stadium. I'm still pushing for the Cat Cafe, but
I see we have a furry friend today with us on the desk there, so it's great.
yeah, he's like right next to me. His will pop up in a second. But
my dog's right here too. He could jump up at any minute, so you never
there
know.
you go. And just having that expo hall that people want to go to as well. There's so many shows out there that the expo is kind of an afterthought. And we really want to focus, especially myself. I'm the biggest advocate for our sponsors because they're the ones who are keeping the lights on. They're paying for the show to exist.
Right.
So if you're not getting ROI, you're not going to come back. So we're putting a lot of effort into the expo hall, activations in there, such as instead of just putting out a bar at the end of the day, we've got a beer garden, we've got a wine bar. For non-drinkers like myself, we have a mocktail lounge, and they're open all day in the exhibition hall to keep folks going through there.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have really thought through it. And I have to, first of all, I got a couple of comments to say. I'm from St. Louis. So the fact that you got Nelly on the show, super excited. Can't wait for that. That's going to be great. The after party. And you put it at the end, which kind of keeps people there. I thought that was really clever as well. But you really are putting a lot of these things together. Let's talk about sponsorships for a minute, because I think personally, a lot of companies are second guessing their investment in trade shows and events because of ROI, because of the pandemic. They're really thinking through that. So the fact that you have 230 sponsors, you're sold out on your sponsorship, to me says a lot about what you guys are doing and the product that you're producing. Talk a little bit about, how that's played out for you, what your thoughts are on that from the other side of the fence, as somebody who is gaining sponsorships. Talk about your approach to that. And are you surprised that you guys are sold out on sponsorships? Are you seeing the same thing that I feel like I'm hearing in the industry?
Kind of answering that backwards. Yes, we are seeing the same thing. I mean, these past 2 years have been a grind. We launched a show during the pandemic. Year one was during the Omicron wave. We were originally supposed to go live in June of 21, but during Thanksgiving of 2020, we made the call early on to push it out to January 22, which worked in our favor, gave us the extra runway to really build it up. And there were still challenges, especially with testing, vax requirements, et cetera, lots of different messaging going out. And we were trying to be mindful as possible. Now, year 2, recession. Year 3, I don't know, mutated murder hornets with COVID. I don't know. I mean, what else you got? Like, can I have a normal year for once? But I'm not surprised that we're sold out. When we could have squeezed some more booths in, but we also didn't want to overpack the hall. And that's generally just kind of our rule. We don't want to just pack it full of vendors. We want to make sure that we're mindful about how it's set up, that there's space to walk around. So we never max out the hall. People have been a bit more conservative on their budgets to a degree, but we still, we don't really discount anything. I mean, we're not a cheap show. But we bring the right people to the room. We bring the VPs. We bring the C-suite. We add value for them. For example, year 1, we trialed a prearranged meeting program that it worked-ish. There were some challenges there because we have such a diverse audience. We're not your traditional just vendor pitching buyer show because our buyers fall into multiple buckets, and a vendor can also be a buyer depending on the job title.
Right.
So that said, a prearranged meeting didn't really work with our setup. So this year, we're doing something a bit more casual. We're not even charging for it. It's just surveying the buyers, saying, what are you looking for? What are some of the solutions you're looking for? And sending a similar survey to the sponsors. What are you offering? Who do you want to engage with? And this is purely buyer-led, going back to these buyers and saying, here's some folks that you matched up with that we're going to recommend you meet with. You're under no obligation, but this is something to add value to you. And we're doing this because we spoke to the buyers in advance to say, what's going to add value for you to come to a show? Do you care about a free ride from the airport? Do you care about a bag full of tchotchkes? No, we care about meeting people that are going to help us in our businesses. So when it boils down to it, we bring them that value. They're going to come. That's going to bring value to our sponsors, and everyone's happy.
Well, I think you're doing the right thing by asking the questions. I was just talking with a friend of mine, Mark Manera, today. We went on a hike today and we were talking business and how critical it is to survey your customers, which for you are the attendees, right? And especially the sponsors who are keeping the lights on, but the buyers as well. Like, what do they want? What's really going to bring value to them? And you guys do a great job with that. You have a portal that attendees can sign into and see, who's going to be there and try to make some connections, which I think is really, really good. But the other thing I want to talk about real quick before we jump into our agenda, where this is still just pre-manifest stuff, there's so much to talk about, but you have great panels as well. And I think that's a big part of it. I don't think that event, trade shows, conferences, whatever it is, I don't think that events think about that enough, like the quality of the speakers that are going to be there, because to me, that also really brings the crowd. Like, who wants to come and listen to the best speakers? Of course they do. And if they're not, quality speakers or quality experiences, people with experiences, maybe not, maybe I don't want to go. I think that plays a role into it as well. How do you see that on your side of it in terms of the quality of people that come up to the event?
I totally agree. That's a huge shout out also to Pam Simon and Tanzil Uddin, who lead our content and programming. It's really recruiting on Pam's side. She really leans into the investors and startups, and Tanzil with the retailers, the shippers, and some of the key 3PLs. But looking at that VP and C-suite, and one rule we're very strict on is we don't let sales, marketing, product, solution, commercial, any kind of sales leaning role on stage. Because the only exception to that is on a rare occasion, a sponsor can purchase their own panel. And we sell very few of those because we don't want a lot of sponsored content. But it's being mindful of having titles on stage that people want to hear from, and people aren't going to think that they're just getting a pitch, because they don't need to travel to a show to get a pitch.
We could say that all day in sponsored content. I think that a lot of these conferences, it's a pay to play. Whoever pays the most gets the most stage time and those types of things. And you just, as an attendee, you feel that, that.
And we're not. We are, the only pay to play elements we have, and I'm currently prepping for my 24 sales cycle. 2 sponsors can buy a spot on the keynote stage, but we still have to approve it. And up to maybe 8 sponsors can buy their own panel, like 4 per day. We still have to approve it. And while they get some more leeway on who they bring into that panel because it's their sponsored content, we still try to guide them in the right direction. On the flip side, the majority of the sessions, all the sessions are panels. We don't do standalones, but we will invite the CEO or COO or such of a higher level sponsor to join one of our panels, but we retain veto power on that. And we've had to bump a few sponsors off panels that they were invited to because our CEO can't make it, so our VP of products can do it. Sorry, we're not putting your VP of product on a panel that has 4 other CEOs on it. And we don't mind being the bad guy about that, because it's all about maintaining the integrity of the program. And I'd rather have one less panelist than have the wrong people on stage.
Yeah, I think it's a critical part of your strategy, and I think it's working. So kudos to you guys. Keep that up. It's been tremendous. And the other thing too is last year's show. I don't know what this year's show setup is like just yet. We'll find out when we get out there. But last year's show is, even though it was a massively huge show with a lot of sponsors, it never felt tight. It never felt like you're restricted. You guys did a great job of just spacing things out in a good way. It was a fun show. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it this year. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Thank you. No, we're excited too. I mean, we're in that ramp up period right now, just making sure everyone's all ready to go. Everyone's got their photos in, their branding. We're proofing everything right now. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that people don't see, and this is something I really appreciate from when I joined here versus other companies I've been with, of how much work goes into just making sure that every little detail is perfect, that there's no logo misplaced. I mean, over the past week, there were some logos that were sent in that weren't up to par. They weren't the right format. They were slightly blurry. And we would go back, and it could be at midnight. Hey, we need this better formatted, or give us your designer or our designer, because we have in-house design team too. Do you want us to fix this for you? I mean, we're not just going to go and Google someone's logo. We want to make sure that it's accurate, because those little touches, whether you're spending $7,500 or $75,000, those little touches people are going to remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important, especially if you get an old logo. Oh, that could be bad. If you get the past logo. People can still register for the event.
Yes.
They can go to manifest.st. Manifest, I think that's clever how you guys have done that. But they can register for the event. They can see the agenda. No masks this year. No testing this year. I'm excited about that. That was kind of a long line to be in last year to get tested, so I don't have to worry about that so much. And it's in Vegas. And here's the other thing that I really love about what you guys do, and that is you all, in the official part of the program every day around 5 o'clock, And I appreciate that because it allows people to get together and to network. There's still some events that go on. You have your official launch party. Obviously, you have the Nelly concert the last night, which is towards the end of the night. But you typically try to stop things around 5 o'clock. And I really appreciate that because it gives time to network, which is one of the reasons people want to come to these shows. It's not only the education, it's not only to see some new stuff, but it's also to connect with other people. Talk about that strategy as well. I'm sure that's intentional.
It is. I mean, we have obviously our networking receptions in the exhibition hall each afternoon too, both on the first and second day of the expo. So that wraps at 5:30 on the first and at 5 on the second. But we do that because people want to take a break. I mean, I've done shows where content will start at 8 p.m. and sometimes the hall will open like 8:30 a.m. and it'll run till 6 p.m. And I've been at other shows that start even earlier. That's a long day. And
it's a very long day. Yeah.
People want to go just get some dinner or wash up, just catch it. I mean, I want to get off my feet. I'm sure everyone else does too. So
enjoy Vegas, go to a show maybe. There's a lot of things to do as well, right?
Go see Nelly. I mean, it's important to give people time just to decompress. And that even lends to our sales strategy. And this was the biggest kind of something to wrap my head around when I joined. We don't do any kind of on-site rebooks or sales for the show. None of that. Book your booth now for next year.
Really?
Nothing. You're not going to see any floor plan for 2024, which will be, shameless plug, February 5th to the 7th back at Caesar's Forum. But we don't even open up sales for the current sponsors till about a month after the show. Because we want them to decompress. We want them to evaluate, and it also gives us time to redo the prospectus, which is what I'm currently working on right now, to really go through each package line by line. How can we make this better? Should we keep this? Is this bringing value to people? What little tweaks can we make? What new things should we add? Not just, let's just raise a price, but really put some thought into it. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around that at first because I'm so used to starting sales before the show for the following year.
Right.
And now, well, granted, it gives me a lot of downtime, which is a blessing and a curse, but the sponsors really appreciate that. They're there to sell, not to be sold to.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but I've been on the other side of it too, where it's this high pressure, like we have to do it now to reserve our spot or to get at least as good a spot this year as we get next year type of it. It's that mentality of like having to make a decision without really getting a chance to think through it. Exactly. And the fact that you let them decompress and think about what did we like about this show? Or did we like our spot? Do we want to, what do we want to change our sponsorship next year? Those types of questions that every company needs to have. I think that people do appreciate that. And so just from being on the other side, I say thank you to you guys for that. It really seems like you have thought through the customer experience. And I don't think a lot of trade shows do that very well. So kudos to you guys for that.
That's our CEO, Jay Weintraub. That's the first thing he kind of drills into our heads with anyone who starts here. It's the customer experience. I'm an advocate for my customers, the sponsors. We have, everyone else is advocate for the attendees, for the speakers. We all want to kind of bring out the best for everyone, not just buy a booth and I'll see you in a few months, but how can we really bring you value? What's going to make this exciting for you? And on the flip side, even turning people down who aren't the right fit as well, because we also don't want to take money from everyone who wants to put up a booth, because if you're not going to get value out of it, I'd rather you just buy a ticket and attend instead of spend all the extra money just to build a booth and realize it's not for you. This
is like totally contrarian to what I experience with every other show. So I love it. I appreciate your heart on all this and what you're doing, through this conference. Looking forward to that. We're going to take a short break here because we got to have a little fun. All right. So every day on the show, we have a little fun. We have some segments we do. The first one is we're going to talk about the National Day. So every day is a National Day. Yesterday, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today is a National Day as well. Do you know what National Day it is today?
Aside from Tuesday, I have no idea.
Good call. It is Tuesday. The National Day today is National Mentoring Day. It's kind of fun to celebrate these. Some of these are really goofy. Some of them are, kind of fun. Mentoring Day. I got to ask you, have you had some good mentors in your life? Who are some people that have really made an impact for you?
There's a few I could say. My previous boss, who coincidentally actually works with us now on one of our other projects, he really mentored me a lot. Just not just in the industry, but in life too. Just got me through a few things that helped me get to where I am today. And then also Courtney Muller, who's our president, with massive experience in the sector. And Jay, our CEO, really helped me kind of bring out the best of myself to buy into what we're doing and make these shows the best that we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. My mentors are so powerful to have in life, to have somebody kind of take you by the arm and show you the ropes, those types of things. That's awesome. I've had a couple of really great ones myself as well. So for those of you out there, who were your mentors? Who really helped you out? Throw them in the comments. We'd love to see that, and enjoy National Mentoring Day. And also, Dan, we have to do the random question of the day. Our producer puts this together. I haven't seen the question. It could be serious. It could be funny. It could be a good question. Who knows? It could be terrible. We don't know. Let's go ahead and throw it up there. The random question of the day today is: you ever had a family vacation go horribly wrong? And if so, I'm going to add to it. What was it? Can you share?
I would think possibly when I was in high school, I got my first tattoo. And when I was young and didn't know any better, my tattoo was more like, that's on the wall, put it on me.
Yeah, this is back in the day. This is not now. This is, we're probably similar age, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm 41. Yeah. This is back when I was maybe 16, 17. So I shouldn't even have one at the time. But
that's right.
We were on vacation in Florida. I was in the pool, had it. I'm trying to cover it up. Parents didn't know about it. My mom was just like, what's wrong? I got an itch, and it all just hit the fan later on.
So revealing your tattoo, your hidden tattoo to your parents on vacation, probably didn't go as well as you would like the rest of the trip, I would imagine.
Not so much.
They weren't accepted back then. I'm telling you, I remember playing sports where if you had a tattoo on your arm, you had to wear a Band-Aid or something to cover it during a game, because you couldn't expose a tattoo like during a high school basketball game. So I know what you're talking about. It just wasn't as accepted back then.
Even when I was in the military, it was a bit more like that too. It's much more open now, but there were still some restrictions on tattoos in the military back then.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what branch of the military did you serve in?
I did 4 years in the Navy on submarines from 99 to 03.
Wow. Very well. Thank you so much for your service. I didn't know that. That's really cool. That's awesome. My bad vacation was, we were supposed to go on an anniversary trip with my parents and with my sister and her husband, because we all have the kind of same sequences. Our 15 is my parents' 20 is my sister's 25. So we're going to go on a cruise, and it was March of 2020. And you can guess what happened. We were in the cruise port in LA. Cruise got canceled. We'd already checked in and everything. Cruise got canceled, but we made it work. We were like, you know what? We've got babysitting for the week. There's no way we're going home. So we turned it into a vacation no matter what. But that was just horrible, because we were so excited about cruising, and then it was just gone. So had a couple of those myself as well. All right, Dan, let's good question. That's a good question. Not bad. Not a bad question today. All right, let's transition back to shows. In your opinion, what really makes a great show? What are some of the elements that just make it just absolutely knock it out of the park?
I feel like it's some of the elements that often go overlooked, even something as simple as food. Many shows, and it's always a challenge as you scale, but oftentimes shows do lunch tickets or concessions and buy your own. All of our shows, regardless of the size, we do good buffets. I remember last year there was short rib, there was grouper, there was proper food.
Yes.
And people remember that. It's little touches like that is what people remember. Just the signage elements, the directions, helping people find their way around, making sure that it's really easy to navigate. And people want to know, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. How do I get there? When is it? And making that as easy as possible for people. I think those are some of the key elements. Communications too, whether it be, even in COVID's a great example. We over communicated, but we wanted to, and we were annoying at times about it, but we want to make sure everyone's getting the message. Get tested. Here's the requirements. We'll do everything we can to help you, but we want to make this a safe show, because it's our responsibility to provide that environment for everyone and keep them safe too. On the sponsor side of things, I'm not one to sign a contract and forget about it. I like to stay in the loop, sometimes to the chagrin of our ops team, but to make sure that we have everything that we need. Do we have all your logos properly? Have you booked your hotels? Is all your staff registered? Is there anything you need from us? And I come from a customer service background, from the restaurant background. So maybe it's just ingrained in me, but I also feel like everyone should work in something customer facing in their lives. But it's just showing that you care about their experience and making sure that all the boxes are checked, so they're not showing up to any kind of surprises.
Yeah. There's a lot of you touched on there. And one I'd add is like the check-in process. how smooth is that checking? Do you have to sit in line for a long time? Is it super easy? Can you use technology to make it easier? The food was great last year. I definitely remember that. And people just remember it's all about going towards the brand. I mean, that builds your brand and helps you guys stand out. And you guys have definitely done that in terms of standing out on your show. And so I appreciate that so much. But yeah, so those little touch points. I remember last year, the COVID situation was still it was kind of half and half. Like some areas there was no really issue going on, but then other areas it was continuing to go. And you guys did over communicate on that. But also there were no surprises when I got there. I knew what to expect. It was really, really simple. So I appreciate all the small touches.
Adding to that too, let's talk about lead scanning. Most events out there I've seen, here's a scanner you could rent that sometimes works to scan a barcode or a QR code on the badge. We don't use those. We utilize smart badges that we give to everyone. So if you want to swap data with somebody, you just stand near each other.
I do remember that. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And it'll go and live in the networking app, or just use your phone's camera and scan the badge and it'll do the same thing. And we just give that to everyone because it's just part of that experience for the customer. We want to make it easy for them.
Yeah, that was cool. And I think that people appreciate that and are willing to pay a little bit more when they have these conveniences that are just built in, that are memorable, that really kind of make the show. So again, kudos to you guys doing a tremendous job on that. And then the last thing I got to say is this: I'm from St. Louis. We already mentioned it. Nelly's going to end out the program this year. You had Ludacris last year. Like, that is definitely different than any other show I've ever been to, especially in transportation and logistics. Talk about the entertainment side of trade shows and what you guys think about that.
We just want to end all of our shows with a bang, keep people excited. I mean, there's always that drop off on the second day, and even and we expected that on the first year too, because people don't know what to expect, no matter how much you tell them about it. So it helps people stick around, but it also makes them remember, like, wow, I went to a logistics show and saw Nelly, or I saw Ludacris.
Listen, I have to tell you a quick story about that. There are probably 8 of us. We were all together. We were on the second row. I mean, like, we could almost touch Ludacris on the team. We still talk about that on a regular basis. We still talk about that experience, that shared experience. And so, it's like we all have a smile on our face. We're laughing. We're having a good time. We're talking about being at the Ludacris concert as a part of the Manifest event. Like, it's genius on your part. I think it's really smart.
And that's all of our shows are like that. Ludacris also performed at our insurance show and at our HR show. I believe prior to COVID, the insurance show also had Billy Idol. So we want someone that's fun, that's entertaining, that's going to really bring that energy, and is going to make people excited. Say, how can we raise the bar for the next year?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's tremendous. It's working. You guys are doing a great job. And Dan, our time is just about up, but I appreciate you being on the show today and talking about how Manifest has come to be. One last thing I want to ask you is, what's the future of Manifest? You've already talked a little bit about 2024. It's coming up. It's going to be at Caesars, February 2 through 5, 2024. Any other surprises? What's the future of Manifest?
I mean, we're just going to keep on growing, looking at how else we can expand. I mean, we're planning some future dates already in Vegas, looking at other geos too, to say, where else would this make sense, or how can we grow smartly? We're not one to just launch. We want to make sure that we're going to do it smart, basically. So I don't really have any secrets to put out there right now. Maybe we'll all get Manifest tattoos in Vegas. Who knows? But
that's kind of a new thing right now, is the temporary tattoos.
There you go. There will be news made at Manifest. So we have a number of sponsors who are making announcements, some of whom are even doing it with us instead of at other shows that are in the same time frame. So we're excited for just some big news makers at the show.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, Dan, thanks again so much for being on the show. We appreciate it. To all of you watching the show, thanks so much. Make sure you come back on Thursday. We're going to have Nate Laurie on the show from RFX. It's going to be an awesome show. But again, thanks so much for being with us today, and we will see you guys soon. Dan, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ray.